NewJeans fan, pretty sure you guys are not doing all right. We finally got a verdict in the NewJeans lawsuit that's been going on for a while against ADOR, and it just came out. So I wanted to go kind of check out some of the details of it, which is why I got this current setup right now. So apologize, but yeah, finally got the verdict. Been probably close to a year of this legal battle between NewJeans and ADOR, and yeah, they lost. Put it plain and simply, they lost. The court kind of went against them, so I'm going to try to get some details on it. And honestly, I'm not surprised. I knew this was going to happen, or I was pretty sure this was going to happen. Some of the actions that NewJeans took during this whole dispute, honestly, kind of screwed him over. And I'll talk about it a little bit more after that. But yeah, I'm not surprised that this happened. So I'm just gonna be taking a look at this article. I am just finding out about it, so I don't know the exact details. So we're just gonna be reading this article from Times Now News. Not sure how good this place is, but we'll see. We'll find out. So let's go. It's gonna be reading through it. In a major win for ADOR, the court apparently ruled in favor of the label, a subsidiary of Hybe, against NewJeans on October 30th. The court gave out its final verdict in the prolonged case after almost a year, upholding the validity of the exclusive contract with the 5-member girls band. You guys know who they are. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's see. All right, here we go. All right, so 34 Civil District Court. Judge, blah, blah, blah. Seeking confirmation, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Korea Herald, okay. It is confirmed that the exclusive contract concluded between ADOR and NewJeans is valid, obviously. Okay, okay. It is difficult to see that ADOR violated the exclusive contract simply by dismissing former CEO Min Hee-jin, the court added. The Min Hee-jin waged a public opinion war for the purpose of protecting NewJeans, but for the purpose of NewJeans' independence. So this is one of the things where I think this detail over here is very important, because one of the things that Min Hee was claiming, kind of what NewJeans was claiming, that basically NewJeans obviously in their back and forth against Hybe, Min Hee-jin kind of said a lot of stuff in the social media, out in the public, to kind of allegedly help them out and protect them. But one of the allegations was that basically Min Hee-jin was trying to steal NewJeans from Hybe, which, honestly, reading some of the statements and stuff like that from back in the day, I would have to agree. This wasn't really anything about protecting NewJeans. It was kind of clear that she was trying to take NewJeans under a different label, maybe a competing label, or a brand new label. And I mean, NewJeans wanted to do this too, so it wasn't exactly against NewJeans' will. NewJeans wanted to break away. NewJeans wants to be with Min Hee-jin. This is one of the reasons why they broke off the contract, because basically for them, they felt that Min Hee-jin was NewJeans. So without her, there was no NewJeans, and they didn't really feel comfortable being with ADOR / Hybe, because according to them, Hybe, ADOR weren't treating them well. And you guys know, there was some other little stuff that went on with one of the members. Unfortunately, There was another court case that went against them. So, not exactly doing well with the court cases. Okay, so the legal dispute, yep, about a year. This is also a key detail. So the group announced terminating their exclusive contract with the company to pursue independent activities under a new band name, NewJeans, NJZ, which everybody knows is NewJeans. This little detail right here is very important because I believe this is one of the things that kind of screwed them over. The reason they picked NJZ was basically just to really get or really continue the power that the NewJeans name had. So obviously, everybody should know the label owns the name. Okay. Under Korean law, not sure exactly how much the extent it goes to, but basically, you think of it like this: the label owns a name, basically owns the concept, and everything else that comes under the umbrella of that. So they couldn't really do anything with NewJeans. They couldn't really do anything with like the NewJeans concept per se. So in order to try to get around that, obviously NewJeans went with NJZ. The problem with that is that everybody understands that NJZ is basically just NewJeans. So they're just trying to make money off of the old name, which anybody with any type of common sense knows you can't do that. Listen, copyright, trademark, contract laws may be different from country to country, but one of the core elements of trademark copyright is that you can't really copy. You can't just change a few letters here and there, get rid of them, and make money off of somebody else's property, essentially. So when they did this, obviously, ADOR filed an injunction lawsuit. So right here, they filed an injunction to prevent the group members from engaging in any solo activities or commercial deals without its approval. This is very important. This is very important. So they filed for that. They asked the courts, hey, until this is all settled, ultimately, they can't go off on their own and make money trying to use the name of NewJeans or something like that in order to gain money. And in March, they were granted an injunction as the court ruled that until the final verdict, the agency will continue to remain in NewJeans' management company while halting the band's independent activities. So the court said, hey, NewJeans, you guys can't go off and do your own stuff, can form a new name, or anything like that. And this includes, I also believe this includes doing like brand deals that they couldn't go off and do their own brand deals, like the makeup line or like a food. They couldn't go to like events off on their own. Obviously, anything that was pre-scheduled, they would have to do that contractually, at least I believe. And then this is also key too. If they did anything, they would have to pay a fine to do it. Okay. This is very important because once this was done, NJZ, or I'm just going to call it NewJeans purposes of the rest of the thing, went off and did, I think it was like a little fan meet or something. And they released a new song under NJZ. So they did this against the court's orders. So the court gave an injunction in favor of ADOR that said they couldn't do their own activities. And NewJeans went off and did their own activity and released their own song and trying to make money off of it, which is an absolute no. Okay? You don't do that. If there's one thing you don't do, is you don't go against the courts. Because then, when you ask for the courts for help, they're not going to listen to you because you didn't listen to them. And I believe this is one of the key things that kind of led to their downfall in terms of this whole contract stuff. Okay? You can't just do stuff in terms of contract. You can't just do stuff on your own and suffer no consequences. There are things, the processes, laws, mediation, and everything that you have to go through. You can say, hey, I no longer want to be part of this contract. Just like NewJeans, hey, we feel that the contract is null and void, so we're not going to follow it. But there's the second half. You can't just unilaterally. There has to be some sort of a remediation. So maybe you go with the other party and say, hey, we don't want it. We don't want to continue this anymore. And the other party goes, fine. And they terminate it. Or they go, fine, but hey, but you got to pay us like a certain amount of money as kind of like compensation. Or you go through the courts. Unfortunately, NewJeans didn't do that. And whoever was advising them should be fired, thrown in jail, because they gave them the worst advice in the world. You can't go courts and just do whatever the hell you want. Just like in this thing. You can't go do your own activity under a brand new name while still trying to cash in on the NewJeans brand, release a new song against a court order that tells you specifically you can't do that. So let's see what else we got here. Even several attempts at mediation failed in the following months, with NewJeans continuing to claim that its relationship with ADOR had been damaged and was not irreparable, and hence the continuation of the contract was out of question. ADOR called all the claim invalid reasons for contract termination. Meanwhile, ADOR's former CEO, Moon Hee-jin, recently established a new entertainment management agency with reports that she would get NewJeans under its periphery if they won the case. So this detail right here, is very important. Because one of the allegations, one of the things that kind of set this whole thing off was Moon Hee-jin breaking off and going against ADOR/Hype. And one of the allegations or rumors against Hee-jin was the fact, basically, she was trying to steal NewJeans for herself. Now, of course, obviously, she denied that. Everybody denied it. ADOR says, look, she's trying to steal NewJeans. That's why they're trying to, she kind of influenced NewJeans to break the contract so that way NewJeans can go and follow Hee-jin on their new label and make money and all that. Hee-jin was no. But his right here, Hee-jin just established a new management agency. So basically, they confirmed everything that ADOR basically levied against them. So yeah, this right here makes it clear, or makes it to the public obvious that she was just trying to steal NewJeans. Which normally wouldn't be a problem. People set up their own labels. But the problem with this is that she set this up before the court case, the end of the verdict. So you set up a new agency. It's obviously that you want to be in NewJeans. NewJeans wants to be with you. So obviously, it makes it look like this whole thing was just that Moon Hee-jin was just trying to steal NewJeans. So it just makes no sense. They were starting to act so. This whole verdict against NewJeans was obvious from the beginning, and this was the road that was gonna lead down to, and obviously Oh, sorry. Honestly, I think this is the correct thing. Aside from the public perception or anything like that, is that this goes above more than just purely a group's rights and idol's individual rights as an entertainer. This goes a little bit beyond what the label's rights are. It goes to a greater concept of contract rights. Um, One of the core things of contracts is that, two parties agree to terms and they follow the terms. And if the terms are followed, then, whatever compensation comes from that is then given. You can't just unilaterally terminate a contract. And this is very important because you have to understand when a court is deciding on a case, they're not just deciding simply on this case. They're deciding this has an effect for future cases 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road. So, you know, as I said before, not entirely sure in terms of the Korean court system and how they use prior rulings, but generally, I think in all countries, including here in the US, including Korea, whatever the prior courts ruled, that is the foundation for future rulings. So you have to think about it like this. If NewJeans basically unilaterally terminates the contract and the court agreed, say, yeah, the contract is valid, you pretty much set the foundation for future solo artists, future groups to do the same. So essentially you can set up a situation where basically, any group comes up, any of the three labels, HYBE, SM, JYPE, whichever one. I'm just picking those three. Those are like the three ones that are coming to the top of my head. Imagine this, right? They come up with a group. The group debuts, and the group becomes super popular, right? If the court found in favor of NewJeans, what could end up happening is that this new group becomes super popular. And after a year, come viral, they got all these hits, they're just super popular. They could essentially just break the contract, use the same excuse, same justification that NewJeans did, and then really the courts don't really have anything to say, no, they can't do that because of this ruling. So essentially, you give the power of groups and solo artists to do whatever they want. Now, whether you like it or not is a different story. I tend to see on the labels only because we have to understand that the labels are essentially the ones who create the groups that we have here. So to put it simply, there would be no NewJeans without HYBE/ADOR. It's a simple truth. Take your favorite artist. There's no Blackpink without YG. There's no Twice without JYP. Because you have to understand, the labels are the ones who find the talent, who recruit the talent, who train the talent. And then ultimately, they're the ones who debut the talent. Okay? So, in terms of NewJeans didn't come together by themselves. They didn't come together and, hey, we're going to form a group. It was HYBE/ADOR who did it. They're the ones who recruited them, who trained them, got them together, and then debuted them. Then not only that, They're the ones who funded everything that has to do with NewJeans. They're the ones who funded the concept and so quite literally paid money for their makeup artists, for the stylists, for the music video producers, music video directors, music video editors, for the producers of the songs, okay, and everything else that comes along with the music production. Who do you think paid for the hotels, for the concert, for the stages, for the appearances and everything? Who's the one who helped set up the brands deals that they had? It was the label. So whether you like it or not, it's the label who's the one who funds them, okay? Now, yes, it is the group who has the talent. So, like NewJeans, in terms of their personalities and how they sing and how they come across and how they dance, it's them. But without the label, it's just 5 random girls basically singing and dancing in front of a mirror at home. Okay? You need the record labels in order to create the groups. So that is what I think everybody's kind of missing is that, and I'll say it again, without Hype / ADOR, there would be no NewJeans. Okay? There is no NewJeans without them. It's plain and simple. There is no NewJeans without the label. The label is the one spending millions upon millions of dollars to support them. But let's think about this. Let's say this never happened and NewJeans were still doing it. What do you think would be paying for everything, for the world tours, for all the stages, for everything NewJeans? The label, not them. Okay? Nobody in NewJeans is self-funding themselves. If they were, then they can do whatever they want, but they're not. So this is what's important. So honestly, I think this is the right decision by the court because you need to have these contracts, whether you like them or not, they need to be upheld. There needs to be the concept of a contract is sacrosanct and it needs to be kept intact. If you want to change that, then you have to go change the laws. If you change the laws, then guess what? That's what the court is going to follow. Until that happens, this type of stuff can't happen. We can't have groups just unilaterally saying, no, I think you broke the contract, so we're done. Oh, and guess what? We're also going to do our own thing, but we're still going to, we're still going to do stuff and use kind of the old image that you guys own to make money. You can't do that. And that's unfortunately what NewJeans did. Unfortunately, NewJeans are stuck with Hybe and ADOR till I believe 2029. Maybe even earlier. Now, unfortunately, because of this whole lawsuit thing, it is possible that I think they are going to be staying, or the terms of the contract could actually be extended. So, listen, I don't know. What I do know is this is not good for NewJeans. This is a major victory for ADOR and Hybe. This is a victory for the labels. And now, honestly, I think it's time for NewJeans to kind of, or at least the 5 girls, need to step back. They need to step away from the limelight. And also, they need to cut off all contact with Min Hee-jin. Because honestly, I think her influence is terrible right now. I think they need to step away and kind of think of what their next steps are. Because honestly, with this whole situation and some of the actions that they took, they lost a ton of fans and honestly a ton of goodwill. you know, with each news, stuff like that, and, seeing the reactions, there are a lot of people who kind of lost their support for NewJeans. There's a ton of people who kind of stepped away from NewJeans, and I honestly don't think they will ever get them back. Or at least the chances they're not going to get those fans back. So they lost a lot of their fans, and now I think they lost a lot of public support in Korea, which is not good. So they need to figure out what they're going to do. And let's honestly, if they don't want to stay with ADOR, then they need to just go behind closed doors, away from social media, and try to figure out a legal dispute, because I don't think it's also good for a label to just keep a group that doesn't want to work with them. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Court sides with ADOR, NewJeans loses, and now NewJeans needs to figure out what they need to do. Honestly, in my opinion, I think they just need to take a break from all social media. In terms of this, they just need to release a statement saying, you know what, we respect the court's decision right now. We will see if there's any other options, and if not, we are going to take a break, and we will see what we're going to do in the future. And honestly, yeah, just think about the future. They need to get together and just kind of reset, and yeah, stay as NewJeans and try to make some new music down the road. But who am I? I'm just a nobody. I'm just a rock guy who just got into K-pop, and that's who I am. So I know it's a long one, but this is very important. A huge landmark case, not only affecting NewJeans and ADOR, but this is going to have ramifications, implications for the rest of the K-pop industry. And yeah, let me know what you think. Make sure you comment. Make sure you hit that like button. Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe. And yeah, this was NewJeans losing, ADOR winning, and we'll see what the future is for NewJeans. And yeah, thanks for sticking around this long. I'll see you on the next one, guys. Bye.